Noah Bennett was supposed to be on his way to the most carefully planned evening of his life. The reservation was at a private restaurant in downtown Portland, the kind with white tablecloths, quiet lighting, and a view of the Willamette River. In the inside pocket of his navy coat was a small velvet box holding a diamond ring he had chosen after 3 quiet visits to a jewelry store. Madison Cole would be waiting for him there. She was elegant, successful, and admired by nearly everyone in his world. On paper, she made sense beside him. Noah was 34 years old, the founder and chief executive officer of a growing technology company, a man whose face had appeared in business magazines and whose calendar was planned in 15-minute blocks. Marriage to Madison was supposed to be the next clean step in a life built on order. Then he saw the flower shop. It sat between a bakery and a used bookstore on a quiet street outside the center of the city. The sign above the door read Daisy and Bloom in soft green letters. Noah did not know why he stopped. He had already ordered flowers for the restaurant, but maybe he wanted something that had not been chosen by someone else. Maybe a part of him was tired of perfect things. The bell over the door gave a small ring when he stepped inside. The air smelled of roses, wet leaves, coffee, and old wood. Behind the counter, a woman was tying a ribbon around a bouquet of white tulips. Her brown hair was pinned up with a pencil. She wore a faded yellow sweater and an apron dusted with pollen. When she looked up, Noah forgot how to breathe. Daisy Miller. 6 years had passed since he had last seen her, but time did not soften the shock. She was older, quieter, and more tired around the eyes, but still Daisy. The woman who had loved him before anyone knew his name. The woman he had left behind when ambition became louder than his heart. Daisy stared at him for 1 second too long. Then her face closed like a door. "Can I help you?" she asked. Noah opened his mouth, but before he could answer, 2 little girls came running from the back of the shop, each holding a tiny watering can. "Mommy," Ellie spilled again. One said. Emma started it. The other protested. They stopped when they saw Noah. Both girls had soft blonde hair, blue eyes, and the same little crease between their brows that Noah saw every morning in his own mirror. They looked about 5.5 years old enough to run through the shop with confidence and ask questions without hesitation. Noah felt the floor tilt under him. Daisy stepped in front of them, not sharply, but quickly enough for him to notice. "Girls, go wash your hands. Mrs. Harper will be here soon." The girls obeyed, glancing back at Noah with open curiosity. He stood frozen among the flowers, the ring in his pocket suddenly heavier than stone. Daisy reached for a bundle of lilies, wrapped them in brown paper, and held them out to him as if this were only a sale. "These are fresh," she said. Noah paid without knowing how much they cost. Outside, he sat in his car and stared through the windshield at the little shop. He had gone in to buy flowers for a proposal. He had walked out with one question burning through his perfect life. What if the family he had never planned was already waiting behind that door? 6 years earlier, Noah Bennett had owned 2 suits, 1 cracked phone, and a dream too big for the small apartment he rented above a laundromat in southeast Portland. The pipes knocked at night. The heat rarely worked right. His desk was a folding table pressed against the window, and his meals were usually instant noodles, cold pizza, or whatever Daisy brought over after her shift at a neighborhood cafe. Back then, Daisy believed in him before investors did. She sat beside him while he practiced presentations. She printed documents when his printer jammed. She listened to him talk about building software that could help small businesses manage deliveries, orders, and suppliers without hiring a full operations team. She did not understand every technical word, but she understood Noah. She knew when he was pretending not to be scared. She knew when he needed coffee, silence, or someone to say, "Keep going." Noah loved her, but he was also in love with the future he was chasing, and he did not know how to hold both. When his first major funding meeting came, everything changed faster than either of them expected. An investor from California offered money, connections, and a temporary office in San Francisco. Noah told Daisy it would only be a few months. He said they would figure it out. At first, he called every night, then every other night. Then the calls became messages. Then the messages became short, careful, and distant. Within 2 months, he had a company phone, a new assistant, and a life moving so fast that he treated old pain like old mail. He told himself Daisy deserved someone steady, someone who could give her quiet evenings at home instead of canceled dinners and half-finished apologies. The truth was simpler. Noah was afraid of becoming responsible for a life he could not control. So he buried himself in work. 5 weeks after his old number stopped working, Daisy found out she was pregnant. She stared at the test in the bathroom of her tiny apartment for a long time, one hand over her mouth, the other resting against the sink. Later, at the clinic, the nurse told her there were 2 heartbeats. Twins. Daisy sat in the parking lot afterward and cried until the sky turned dark. Then she tried to find him. She called his old number until the automated message made her feel foolish. She sent emails to the address he used when they were together. She asked 2 mutual friends if they had a current number. One said Noah was traveling for investor meetings. Another said his company had moved offices twice in a year. Daisy even mailed a short letter to the old Portland workspace where he had once rented 2 desks. It came back weeks later with a yellow forwarding label and no new address. By then, her body was changing, her rent was overdue, and her fear had become a daily thing she carried to work. She imagined walking into his new office, pregnant and terrified, asking him to choose her. She could not do it, not because she was proud, but because she did not want her daughters to begin life as a burden someone had to be convinced to carry. She took extra shifts. She moved into a smaller apartment. Mrs. Harper, an older widow from downstairs, began checking on her and later became the closest thing Daisy had to family. Emma and Ellie were born on a rainy morning in March, a little less than a year after Noah had first left for California. Now, 5 years had passed since Daisy held them against her chest and promised they would never feel unwanted. Noah built a company. Daisy built a life. Only one of them knew the cost. Noah did not go to the restaurant that night. He called Madison hours later and said something urgent had come up. It was not a lie, but it was not the whole truth either. For the next 3 days, he moved through his life like a man watching someone else live it. He sat in meetings while charts blurred on glass walls. He nodded during calls and forgot what decisions he had made. At night, he saw the same image again and again. Daisy behind the counter. 2 little girls with his eyes. On Friday morning, Noah canceled everything before noon and drove back to Daisy and Bloom. The shop was quieter this time. A handwritten sign near the door advertised wedding arrangements, sympathy bouquets, and local delivery within 10 miles. Daisy looked up as soon as the bell rang. She did not seem surprised. She only looked tired, as if she had been expecting this and dreading it. "The girls are with Mrs. Harper," she said. "If you came to talk, now is the time." She led him into the back room. It was small and crowded, with buckets of flowers, shelves of ribbon, delivery boxes, a child-sized raincoat hanging from a hook, and a stack of bills held down by a coffee mug. Nothing about the room was dramatic, and that made it worse. This was real life. This was where Daisy had been surviving while Noah had been giving interviews about vision and discipline. He stood near the door, unable to sit. "Emma and Ellie," he said, his voice rough. "Are they mine?" Daisy closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them and looked straight at him. "Yes, they are yours." Noah had known it the second he saw them, but hearing the words still struck him with a force he could not prepare for. He leaned against the wall and covered his face with one hand. "Why did you not tell me?" Daisy gave a small laugh, but there was no humor in it. "I tried, Noah. I called. I emailed. I asked people who knew you. I even sent a letter to your old office, and it came back like you had never been there. Maybe none of that would impress a courtroom, but it was what I could do while I was pregnant, broke, and scared. I did not know." "I know you did not," she said. "That is the part that makes it hurt in a different way." He looked at the floor. "I am sorry." Daisy did not soften. Sorry does not pack lunches. Sorry does not sit up with 2 sick babies at 3 in the morning. Sorry does not pay rent when the shop has a slow month. Noah nodded because there was nothing to defend. "I want to know them." Daisy crossed her arms, not in anger, but in protection. "Then we do this carefully. You do not walk in and call yourself their father today. You do not bring expensive gifts and confuse them. If you want to be in their lives, we do it the right way. A paternity test. A family attorney. A parenting plan when the time comes. Child support and health insurance handled like responsibilities, not favors." Noah swallowed. "Whatever they need." Daisy studied him for a long moment. "And Noah, if there is anyone else in your life, handle that before you come closer to mine. I will not let my daughters stand in the middle of unfinished business." He wanted to promise everything at once, but he had already learned how little a promise meant without action behind it. So he only said, I will start where you tell me to start. Daisy opened the door back to the shop. Come by Sunday afternoon. As Mr. Noah. Nothing more. On Sunday, Noah arrived at Daisy and Bloom with 2 coffees, one for Daisy and one for Mrs. Harper, and nothing for the girls because Daisy had told him not to bring presents. He had never felt so nervous walking into a building. He had faced rooms full of investors, reporters waiting for one wrong sentence, and board members who judged every word by profit and risk. None of them had frightened him like Emma and Ellie sitting on the floor with crayons and construction paper. Ellie looked up first. You are the flower man. Noah smiled. Carefully. I guess I am. Emma held up a drawing of a purple cat with wings. Do you know cats cannot really fly? I suspected that, Noah said. But this one looks determined. Ellie giggled, and Daisy watched from behind the counter, alert to every word. For the first hour, Noah did nothing important. He helped cut ribbon. He swept stray leaves into a dustpan. He listened while Ellie explained that pink roses were happier than red roses because red roses looked too serious. Emma corrected the way he stacked flower cards, lining them by color and size. When he did it wrong, she sighed like a tiny teacher. Noah accepted the correction with serious respect. He returned 2 days later, then again that Saturday. Daisy did not welcome him warmly, but she did not turn him away. That became the first small mercy. The girls called him Mr. Noah, and each time they said it, he felt both grateful and careful. He learned that Emma liked pancakes with extra syrup, but no butter. Ellie liked grilled cheese cut into triangles, not squares. Emma became quiet when thunder rolled over the city. Ellie talked bravely about everything, then cried if her stuffed bear went missing. Noah made mistakes constantly. He bought the wrong juice boxes. He tied Ellie's shoes too loose. He offered Emma a chocolate muffin before learning she hated chocolate chips and bread because they looked like bugs. Once, he promised to stop by before the shop closed. Then a meeting ran late. By the time he arrived, the sign had already been turned to closed. Emma was sitting on the front step beside Daisy, holding a small paper flower she had made for him. She looked up and asked, "Did you forget us?" The question was quiet. It was not dramatic. That made it land deeper. Noah crouched in front of her. I did not forget. I made a bad choice with my time. I am sorry, Emma. She considered that. Mommy says sorry means you try better next time. Your mommy is right. After that, Noah began blocking time on his calendar in a way he had never done for anyone. Not flexible time. Not maybe time. Real time. When his assistant asked whether meetings could be scheduled over those hours, he said no. He also called Madison and told her they needed to meet because he owed her the truth before he could ask anyone else to trust him. Before that conversation could happen, the flower shop had a crisis of its own. One afternoon, the delivery van would not start before a wedding order needed to go out. Noah took off his suit jacket, rolled up his sleeves, and helped load arrangements into his own car. He drove carefully, as if every vase were made of glass and every flower mattered. When they returned, Daisy handed him a towel and said, "You did not break anything." That sounds almost like praise. "Do not get used to it," she said, but her mouth almost smiled. For one brief moment, the room felt lighter. Then Noah saw Madison's name appear on his phone, and the unfinished part of his life came back with it. Madison Cole arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, when the shop was full of late spring orders and the sidewalk smelled like rain on warm pavement. Noah was in the corner helping Ellie count ribbon spools while Emma arranged plant markers in a perfect row. Daisy was wrapping a bouquet for a customer when the bell rang. Madison stepped inside wearing a cream coat, dark sunglasses pushed into her hair, and heels that clicked against the old wooden floor. She looked beautiful, expensive, and completely out of place among buckets of daisies and muddy children's boots. Noah stood so quickly that Ellie dropped a spool of ribbon. Madison looked from him to Daisy, then to the girls. Her face changed as she understood just enough to be hurt, but not enough to be fair. "So this is where you have been," she said. Daisy looked at Noah. "You know her?" Noah's throat tightened. "Madison, not here." Madison gave a small, sharp laugh. "Not here? You cancel the most important dinner of our relationship, then ask to meet later like this is a business call. I waited for you, Noah. Your assistant said there was an emergency. Then yesterday, a mutual friend told me he saw you carrying flower boxes into Daisy and Bloom. I looked up the address myself." The customer at the counter froze. Daisy quietly handed her the bouquet and told her there was no charge for the delay. When the woman left, Daisy turned back to Noah. You were going to propose to her? Noah closed his eyes briefly. Yes. Daisy flinched, not loudly, not visibly to anyone who did not know pain. But Noah saw it. Madison looked at Daisy, anger covering embarrassment. He had a ring, a reservation, a plan. Then suddenly he became impossible to reach. She looked at the girls again, and her voice softened for half a second before hardening. I did not know there were children. Ellie tugged on Noah's sleeve. Mr. Noah, is she mad at you? The question broke something in the room. Madison looked at the child, then at Noah, and the bitterness drained into sadness. I should not have come in like this, she said quietly. Noah stepped forward. Madison, I should have told you everything before now. I was wrong. Yes, she said. You were. She turned and left without another word, the bell ringing softly behind her. Daisy did not yell. She did not cry. She walked to the back room and closed the door. That was worse. Noah waited until Mrs. Harper arrived to take the girls upstairs to Daisy's apartment. Then he knocked on the back room door. Daisy opened it only a few inches. You should go. Daisy, please. I am not angry that you had a life after me, she said. I had a life after you too. I am angry that you still hide things when they are hard. That is exactly how this began. Noah had no defense. I was afraid you would close the door if I told you everything. Maybe I would have, but at least I would have been closing it on the truth. Her voice shook then, just a little. The girls are starting to trust you. I am starting to trust you. Do not make me feel foolish for that. Noah stepped back because she needed space more than she needed another apology. I will handle Madison properly. Then I will handle the legal steps. You have my word, but I know that is not enough yet. No, Daisy said. It is not. That evening, Noah met Madison at a quiet coffee shop near her apartment. He returned the ring, told her the full truth, and ended the relationship clearly. He did not blame Daisy. He did not ask Madison to understand. Madison cried once, wiped her face, and said, Then do not hurt them the way you hurt me. Noah left knowing the door to his old life had closed. The question was whether Daisy would ever open hers again. For 3 days, Noah respected Daisy's silence. He did not send flowers. He did not leave long messages. He did not try to fix the damage with charm, money, or pressure. He called a family attorney named Rachel Adams, a calm woman recommended by a colleague who had gone through a custody agreement years earlier. Rachel listened while Noah explained the situation without making himself sound better than he was. Then she told him what Daisy had already told him in simpler words. If he wanted to be Emma and Ellie's legal father, there needed to be clear steps. A voluntary paternity test. A legal acknowledgement of paternity if the results confirmed what everyone already believed. A child support arrangement. Health insurance. A parenting plan that protected the children's routine instead of satisfying adult guilt. Noah wrote everything down. That afternoon, he emailed Daisy only one sentence. I ended things with Madison, and I spoke with a family attorney. I would like to do this the right way, at your pace. Daisy did not answer for 6 hours. When she did, her message said, Good. Rachel met them both at a small office near the courthouse the following week. Daisy arrived with a folder so organized that Noah knew she had built it over years of having no one else to rely on. Medical records, school forms, receipts, insurance bills, a preschool calendar marked with picture day, dentist appointments, and parent volunteer mornings. Rachel explained the process in plain language. Daisy asked practical questions. Noah answered when needed and stayed quiet when he should. He did not ask for overnight visits. He did not demand rights. He asked what would be healthiest for the girls. Daisy saw, though she did not say so. A few days later, they completed the paternity test. No one acted surprised when the results came back. Noah was Emma and Ellie's biological father. Still, seeing it in writing made his hands tremble. He asked Daisy about adding the girls to his health insurance. She hesitated, then agreed after. Rachel explained how it could be handled without changing Daisy's day-to-day authority. He set up child support through proper channels, not as a gift, not as a rescue, but as responsibility. Then came the ordinary tasks that proved more than paperwork. Noah attended a preschool safety meeting when Daisy had a delivery. He took Emma to a dental checkup and remembered to bring her moon-shaped sweater because medical offices made her cold. He signed up to help carry boxes for the school food drive, then spent 2 hours sorting canned soup with Ellie, who insisted the chicken noodle cans were the friendliest. Daisy remained cautious, but her eyes no longer closed every time he reached for a responsibility. Then came the night Ellie got sick. It started as a fever after dinner. By 10 o'clock, Daisy had tried water, a cool cloth, and the nurse advice line. By 11, Ellie was listless and hot against her mother's shoulder. Mrs. Harper was visiting her sister outside Salem, and the rideshare driver kept canceling because of heavy rain. Daisy stared at Noah's name on her phone before pressing call. He answered on the second ring. What is wrong? Ellie has a fever. I think I need to take her to the emergency room. I am coming. He left a meeting with senior investors with only one explanation. My daughter needs me. 20 minutes later, his car pulled up in front of Daisy's apartment. At the hospital, he filled out forms, gave insurance information, and stayed beside the bed while the doctor examined Ellie. It was only a virus, the doctor said. She needed fluids, rest, and monitoring. Nothing life-threatening. But Noah did not relax until Ellie's breathing evened out and her small hand loosened around his finger. Daisy watched him from the chair beside the bed. His shirt was soaked from rain. His hair was a mess. He did not look powerful. He looked present. Mrs. Harper had once told Daisy, "Actions speak louder than words." Daisy had heard that saying all her life, but for the first time, she felt it settle in the room. Noah did not need to make a speech. He simply stayed until morning, and this time, Daisy let him. For the first time since he had walked back into her life, Daisy no longer looked at him like a stranger. She looked at him like someone who might still have a place in their future. After the paternity results and the first legal papers were filed, Daisy and Noah agreed that Emma and Ellie deserved the truth before the adults made more changes around them. Rachel suggested keeping the conversation simple and honest, with no pressure on the girls to react a certain way. Mrs. Harper said the same thing in fewer words. Children can handle truth better than confusion, she told Daisy while stirring soup on the stove. So they chose an ordinary Friday evening, not a birthday, not a holiday, not a moment already heavy with meaning. Daisy made mac and cheese because it was the one dinner both girls always ate without protest. Emma set napkins on the table with great care. Ellie placed her stuffed bear in an empty chair and said he was part of the family meeting too. Noah sat beside Daisy, his hands folded, his heart beating so hard he could barely sit still. After dinner, Daisy wiped Ellie's chin, took a breath, and said, "Girls, Mommy and Mr. Noah need to tell you something important." Emma immediately looked worried. Ellie asked, "Are we moving?" "No, sweetheart," Daisy said. "We are not moving." Noah lowered himself from the chair and sat on the rug so he was closer to their height. Daisy continued, "You know how Mr. Noah has been spending time with us and helping more?" Both girls nodded. "There is a reason. He is not just Mommy's old friend. He is your dad." The room became very quiet. Outside, a car passed on the wet street. Ellie looked at Noah, then at Daisy, then back at Noah. Emma stared at her hands. Noah wanted to fill the silence, but he waited. Finally, Ellie asked, "Like a real dad?" Daisy nodded. "Yes, a real dad." Emma's voice was small. "Then where was he?" Noah moved a little closer, but did not touch her without permission. "I was not here when I should have been," he said. "That was my mistake. It was not your fault. It was not Ellie's fault. It was not your mom's fault." Emma looked up, eyes shining but not crying. "Did you know about us?" "No," Noah said, "but I should have been easier to find. I made choices that hurt your mom, and because of that, I missed a lot of time with you." Ellie hugged her bear. "Are you going to leave again?" "No," Noah said. "I will make mistakes because grown-ups do that too. But I will not disappear. If I say I am coming, I will come. If I cannot, I will call. And if you are angry with me, I will listen." Ellie studied him with serious eyes. "Do dads have to come to birthdays?" "Yes. Every birthday. Every birthday I can possibly be there for. And I will do everything to be there." Emma frowned. "What about school shows?" "Those too." Ellie leaned toward Daisy and whispered loudly, "Can we call him Daddy, or do we have to fill out a paper?" Daisy laughed through her tears. Noah covered his mouth, overcome. "You can call me whatever feels right," he said. "No rush." The girls did not rush. That night, they still said Mr. Noah during bath time and story time. Noah accepted it. The next week, Ellie tried Daddy Noah while asking for more syrup, then went back to Mr. Noah when she wanted him to read a story. Emma stayed quiet for longer. She watched him at school pickup, at the grocery store, And during a rainy afternoon when he sat beside her through a thunderstorm and counted seconds between lightning and thunder until she stopped shaking. One evening, after a preschool art show, Emma slipped her small hand into his and said, "You can come to the next one too, Daddy." Noah did not make a big reaction. He only squeezed her hand and said, "I would love that." The words were small, but they stayed with him all night. Being a father, he was learning, did not arrive all at once. It arrived in pieces, and every piece had to be earned. Once Emma and Ellie knew the truth, Noah's place in their lives became clearer, but not easier. The family attorney helped Daisy and Noah build a parenting plan that started slowly. School pickups twice a week. Dinner at Daisy's apartment on Wednesdays. Saturday mornings at the park, the library, or the farmer's market, depending on weather and the girls' moods. No overnights yet. No sudden changes. Noah followed the plan as if it were the most important agreement he had ever signed. Because it was. He learned the route to the girls' preschool, the name of the teacher, the location of the extra jackets, and the way the pickup line worked when parents became impatient. He attended his first parent-teacher conference and sat in a chair so small his knees nearly touched the art table. The teacher told him Emma was already reading above grade level and Ellie had an imagination big enough to fill the classroom. Noah listened as if every word mattered. Later, Ellie made him hang her finger painting in his office. He did, right behind his desk, where investors could see it during video calls. For several weeks, the girls moved between names. Mr. Noah when they felt shy, Daddy Noah when they were testing the sound, Daddy when they forgot to protect themselves. Noah never corrected them. Daisy noticed that. She also noticed that he no longer tried to impress her. He arrived with groceries, printer paper for the shop, children's cough medicine, or coffee made exactly the way she liked it. Still, Daisy kept a part of herself guarded. One night, after the girls were asleep, she found Noah at the small kitchen table reviewing delivery invoices for the shop. He had built a simple scheduling tool to help track orders, drivers, supplier costs, and subscription bouquets. It was useful, but he had not pushed it on her. He had asked first. That mattered. Daisy leaned against the counter. "You know I do not need you to save me, right?" Noah looked up. "I know. I have been doing this for a long time. I know that too. Sometimes people see a single mother and think she is waiting for someone to rescue her." Noah closed the laptop. "I do not think that. I think you kept 3 lives standing when I could barely keep one honest. I am not here to take over. I am here to carry what should have never been yours alone." Daisy looked away because the words landed where she had been trying not to feel. "I am not the girl you left." "No," Noah said softly. "You are stronger than she was. And you deserved better then. You deserve better now." The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the faint sound of Ellie turning in her sleep down the hall. Daisy sat across from him. "I am scared to trust you." "I would be too," he said. "What are you asking?" Noah looked at her for a long moment. A chance to keep earning it. Weeks passed, and their lives began to weave together in small, ordinary ways. Noah learned to make sandwiches without crust because Ellie claimed crust tasted like tree bark. He learned Emma needed a moon-shaped nightlight and 2 minutes of silence before she could talk about a bad dream. He learned Daisy sang under her breath when arranging flowers, usually old country songs from the radio. One evening, after a long day at the shop, Daisy found him on the porch holding a drawing Ellie had made. For people stood in front of a green building with flowers in the windows. Above them, Ellie had written, "My family." Noah's eyes were wet when Daisy sat beside him. "I love you," he said. There was no performance in it. Not because of what we were, because of who you are now. Because you built a home out of hard years and still made room for me when I did not deserve it. Daisy did not answer with words. She reached for his hand and held it. For that night, it was enough, and Noah understood that love was not the reward at the end of guilt. It was something that could only grow after trust had roots. Neither of them knew it yet, but the next step would ask for more courage than either had needed so far. Summer came to Portland with long golden evenings, chalk drawings on sidewalks, and buckets of fresh flowers lined outside Daisy in bloom. The shop was doing better than it had in years, but not because life had suddenly become easy. Daisy still woke before sunrise to check deliveries. She still argued with suppliers when stems arrived damaged. She still carried buckets until her shoulders ached and balanced invoices after the girls went to bed. Noah's scheduling tool helped, but it did not replace her work. It showed which arrangements sold fastest, which suppliers raised prices without warning, and which delivery routes wasted time and gas. Daisy used that information to start monthly flower subscriptions for nearby offices and local families. She called old customers herself. She rewrote the order forms. She taught a part-time assistant how to pack vases safely. For the first time in years, she could look at the rent bill without feeling her stomach tighten. Noah never called the shop his project. He called it Daisy's business, and that made her trust him more than any compliment could. At home, the girls settled into the new shape of their family. Emma began saving school papers for Mommy and Daddy to sign. Ellie asked Noah to teach her business because she wanted to open a lemonade stand with 3 locations and a delivery van. Noah created a pretend business plan with crayons, and Daisy laughed so hard she had to sit down. There were hard days too. Emma had a week when she became quiet and clingy, afraid that if she liked Noah too much, he might leave again. Ellie once packed a small backpack with pajamas and announced she was going to live at Noah's apartment because she wanted to see if his cereal was better. Daisy and Noah handled each moment carefully. They talked. They listened. They kept routines. They let the girls feel what they felt without rushing them toward happiness. One Saturday, Daisy tripped over an empty flower crate in the back room and scraped her arm against a shelf. It was not serious, but Noah reacted before he could stop himself, rushing to her side with panic in his face. Daisy held up her hand. "Noah, I am okay." He exhaled, embarrassed by how badly his hands were shaking. "I know. I just hate seeing you hurt." She sat on a stool while he cleaned the scrape and placed a bandage over it with careful fingers. "You are better at boardrooms than first aid," she said. "That is probably true." She watched him for a moment. "But you stayed calm enough." He smiled faintly. "I am learning." That night, after the girls fell asleep, Daisy stood on the porch barefoot, listening to crickets and distant traffic. Noah joined her, leaving the door open behind them in case one of the girls woke up. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you had come back sooner?" she asked. "Every day," Noah said. "But I try not to let regret make me miss what is here now." Daisy nodded. "I loved you for a long time before I let myself admit I was angry. You had every right to be." "I know." She turned toward him. "I am still afraid sometimes." "So am I." "Of what?" Noah looked through the window at the dim hallway, where 2 small pairs of shoes sat beside the door. "Of failing them. Of failing you." Daisy stepped closer. "Then do not run when you are scared." He took her hand. "I will not." She believed him, not because fear vanished, but because he had proven he could stand inside it. A few weeks later, Noah spent an afternoon looking through an old photo album Daisy kept in a box under the bed. He saw Emma and Ellie as newborns, wrapped in hospital blankets. He saw Daisy younger, pale with exhaustion and smiling anyway. He saw birthday candles, Halloween costumes, missing teeth, and years he could never enter. Tears slipped down his face before he could hide them. Daisy sat beside him. "You are here now," she said. Noah closed the album carefully. "I want to be here for everything that comes next." Daisy leaned into his shoulder, and for the first time, she did not hold any part of herself back. Noah chose the botanical garden outside the city because Daisy had mentioned it only once. They had been closing the shop late, and she had paused over a customer's wedding order filled with white lilies and pale pink roses. She said she used to go to the garden when she was younger, before rent, preschool schedules, insurance forms, and delivery problems swallowed her weekends. Noah remembered. On a clear Sunday afternoon, he packed snacks, water bottles, sunscreen, and the emergency sweater Emma insisted everyone might need, even though it was 78 degrees. Mrs. Harper came along because Daisy had invited her for the afternoon, and the girls were thrilled to have her there. Ellie brought her stuffed bear in a small backpack and told him this was a serious family outing. Daisy wore a blue sundress and simple sandals. She looked relaxed in a way Noah still considered a gift. The girls ran ahead along the path, chasing butterflies and arguing about whether flowers had favorite colors. Daisy walked beside Noah, her hand brushing his every few steps. He was nervous, but not like the night he had planned to propose to Madison. That night had been about completing a picture. This was about offering his whole life, imperfect and fully awake. Near a quiet pond, where white flowers grew along the edge and the city felt far away, Noah asked Mrs. Harper to distract the girls with a packet of crackers and a story about ducks. Mrs. Harper knew exactly what was happening and wiped her eyes before anything had even begun. Noah led Daisy to a small wooden bench under a tree. "You are acting strange," Daisy said, smiling a little. "I am trying not to drop anything." Her smile faded into understanding when he took the small box from his pocket. It was not the same ring he had once bought for a perfect evening with someone else. That ring was gone, returned months ago after Noah ended things with Madison clearly and apologized without asking her to make him feel better. This ring was simpler, chosen by Noah himself, with a small oval diamond and a band shaped like tiny leaves because it reminded him of Daisy's hands among flowers. He did not kneel for drama. He knelt because he meant it. "Daisy," he said, and his voice was steady enough to carry the truth. "I cannot give back the years I missed. I cannot be in the hospital room when Emma and Ellie were born. I cannot take away the nights you were scared and alone. But I can spend the rest of my life making sure you never have to wonder whether I will stand beside you. I love you. I love our daughters. I love the loud mornings, the bills on the table, the flower stems in the sink, the school forms, the burnt toast, and the way our life is real instead of perfect. Will you marry me?" Daisy covered her mouth, tears already on her cheeks. For a moment, she looked toward the girls. Emma was watching now, eyes wide. Ellie whispered something to Mrs. Harper, who nodded fiercely. Daisy turned back to Noah. "Yes," she said. "Yes." Ellie ran over first. "Did you find a rare bug?" Emma saw the ring and gasped. "Mommy is getting married?" "We are getting married," Daisy said, laughing through tears. Ellie screamed so loudly that a pair of ducks hurried across the pond. The wedding took place 2 months. Later in the backyard behind Daisy and Bloom, there were folding chairs, string lights, mason jars filled with flowers, and a cake from the bakery next door. It was not fancy. The aisle was a little uneven. Ellie dropped half her petals in one spot. Emma took her job so seriously that she reminded everyone to stand at the right time. Mrs. Harper cried through the entire ceremony. Madison sent a card with one sentence inside, "Wishing you peace and a good life," and Noah was grateful for the grace in it. Daisy walked toward him in a simple white dress, holding a bouquet she had made herself. Noah looked at her, then at Emma and Ellie, and understood that success had changed its shape. It was not a headline, a company valuation, or a room full of applause. It was 2 little girls calling him daddy without testing the word first. It was Daisy choosing him after knowing the worst of him. It was a home where someone left the porch light on. Years earlier, Noah had believed he had everything. Standing in that small garden, with pollen on his jacket and his daughters laughing beside him, he finally knew the truth. A life does not need to be perfect to be beautiful. It only needs love that is honest, and people brave enough to stay.